Hello everyone, welcome back to SOMA. Last time we explored around Station Delta. We pretty much saw everything that there was to see, and we were able to call the Zeppelin, which is going to take us over to Theta. So let's go ahead and plug Catherine in here and reconnect with her.
Ah!
Calm down, we're safe.
Oh, it's really disconcerting popping in and out of existence like that. Where are we now?
Delta, at least that's what you said before the crash.
Oh, right. Of course. Is this a Zeppelin?
Appropriately named. You think it can get us to Theta?
It's a cargo transport. They use them for moving materials between the sites, anything that's too big for the shuttles. I'm sure it can carry us. Why won't it work? Come on. Oh, the tool chip is bust.
Isn't that part of the Omni tool?
Look who's been paying attention.
I had to deal with that back at Upsilon.
Then you know how it works. We need to get a new tool chip and switch it.
Care to point me in the direction of the closest tool chip storage?
I think it would be easier to just take one from a robot.
What? Just knock a robot over the head and steal their chips?
The toolbox over there says it has a stun baton. You could use that.
Come on, I don't want to hurt anyone. Isn't this a bit much?
It's just a robot, Simon.
We're just robots. Sort of. I'll get us a chip.
A stun baton, you say? Ho ho, we finally get a weapon in this game. That would have been nice to have. For literally every other segment of this game. It's kind of odd when you think about it that they give you a weapon in the only area that you're safe. There is literally nothing in this area that can attack you or harm you in any way, shape, or form. And you have two options. You can knock out our sweet little helper robot here if you want to, or you can go for that other robot that we saw in the area, the bigger one that's over here, who's just kind of lost in his own thoughts. It doesn't matter which one you go for. Catherine has different dialogue depending on which robot you do go for, though. She'll say something different depending on which one you decide to destroy. So I don't really know what makes me feel worse, to be honest, because the little helper robot doesn't have a voice. It doesn't seem sentient. It just kind of hangs out and does its own thing. But I feel bad because it helps us and it's just so adorable. Whereas this robot is just doomed to roam around the ocean floor forever, trapped, with a consciousness trapped inside of it. So I usually go for the bigger robot, but it's completely up to you. And I looked it up just because I had kind of forgotten in the last video what exactly it was.
Rusted shut. Probably for the best. Not sure I trust the
that Delta was used for as a site, and apparently it was used to manufacture the shells that would go inside of the Omega gun. So it was used to basically create things like the pods that would launch things into space and also move parts around. So parts needed for robot assembly and any other supplies that were needed for other sites further on down Pathos too. So there you go. Here's your chip, Catherine.
Thanks, Simon. Don't be mad, okay? We really needed that chip. We'd be stuck here.
Could you do it? Kill a robot like that?
I get attached to them too. I'm not a monster. But in this case, it had to be done.
He was talking. I mean, he was delusional, but he seemed sincere. Present.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's fine.
Was he really that different from us? It's just beginning to sink in. I mean, really sink in. I'm a robot.
Didn't we cover this already?
I guess I've known ever since I woke up at Upsilon. I just keep suppressing it. Like my brain doesn't want me to think about it. It's really getting hard not to think about it.
Yeah. Could you maybe hit that switch over there so we can get moving?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So obviously Simon's kind of lost in his own thoughts, and he's lamenting over his identity. He's having a bit of a crisis. And Catherine, she doesn't come off as being impatient, but I think she's a little impatient that he's still not understanding that he is a robot, even though it's painfully obvious. And I think the difference between Simon or Catherine is that they are aware that they're robots, whereas the other robots that we've come across have not been aware that they're robots. You know, Carl, he had the consciousness inside of a robot, wasn't aware that he was a robot. That robot that we just destroyed with the stun baton didn't realize it either. So I think that's really the main difference in what would kind of separate and how that would feel like killing a robot like Simon or Catherine versus killing a robot like those ones, which don't seem to be, you know, as sentient. And before we take off, let's have a look at this data buffer.
Do you hear me speaking? Of course you do. I wanted to let you know that I know. You didn't blindly beg me out of the herd. The slow waves of Delta crashing against the shore have an undertow that pulls you into a slumber. It's a beautiful thing. And I won't be selfish. I will help. Tuck them in, watch them sleep. They too will find peace within the universe of the WoW.
So once again, Mr. Akers on his way to Theta. And from the sounds of it, basically I think he was off to Theta to kill everybody and reunite them with the WoW, so to speak. Not a good thing.
Thanks.
So when you're ready, you just push the button and we can take off. And one of the monitors behind us, once we get going, is going to tell us how long the journey is going to be. Not a terribly long time, but we are going to just get some dialogue between Simon and Catherine here just to close the gap. Since there's not really a whole lot else to see or do. Luckily we're safe. We just have one straight shot over towards Theta. It's not like the shuttle, where the shuttle is going to crash. It's actually kind of a nice little peaceful ride for a change. Which is quite nice. So yeah, this monitor over here is going to tell us where we're headed to. So we've only just taken off.
You did really good back there, Simon. We got a slight Delta detour, but we're back on track.
Yeah.
We should touch down on a cargo platform just outside Theta. Then we just head inside, grab the dump bat, and head down the abyss. 4,000 meters. That's a long way. We don't have to worry, though, because with the dump bat, the Ark could have been in the Mariana Trench. It'll hold for anything.
That's great.
And then we can start listening to other people when they talk, because that's how conversations work.
What? Oh, sorry. I just can't stop thinking about what we've become. It's clear that we're no longer human. But then how can I feel like Simon? How can I feel like anything at all? I mean, technically I don't have any ears, no mouth. Christ, that's a weird thing to think about. I mean, I'm making sounds. I'm still saying things.
You sure are. Okay. Your new body most likely has senses similar to those you had as a human. And your mind, only knowing one way to perceive the world, superimposes that skill set on top of your new features.
So my mind is covering it up, pretending nothing's different.
If it didn't, you'd probably be incapable of interacting with the world at all. And the stress would either kill you or make you go insane.
So I've found a good balance between awareness and ignorance. Does that mean I shouldn't think about this stuff, or are my thoughts actually making me cope? Could I tip the balance by suddenly gaining some insight and go insane?
I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, we have real things to deal with. Saving mankind, remember? Speaking of which, we're closing in on Theta. I'll eject the Omnitool. As always, don't forget to take me with you.
Kath, before you go, the artificial intelligence you mentioned in the escape vessel?
Yeah, the Warden unit, the WoW.
Is it the WoW's fault that we're like this? I mean, it seems like something an unreliable AI would do.
I suppose it set the ball in motion, but it's not directed with purpose. It's really complicated to explain how machines think, Simon. Concentrate on getting inside Theta, okay? See you soon.
Alright, so that's just a bit of insight into Simon's psyche, and Catherine doesn't strike me as having the best people skills, and as we learn more about her, we'll kind of learn that that's true. But she tries. I think instead of counseling Simon, so to speak, and talking through his emotions, she tries to sort of keep him on track, and she tries to sort of have him focus on other things. You know, she could tell that he was distressed, but she tried to tell him what a good job that he was doing, and she's trying to convince him that what he's doing is the right thing, and that he just has to keep going and deal with his fate kind of along the way. There's a couple more story things out here. We can actually see two data buffers literally side by side, so we can have a look at both of these.
Strasky, wake up Dr. Masters. We're bringing in anchors.
What's wrong?
What can I say? He's had a rough day.
Jesus Christ. He's all butchered by structure shrapnel. The valve sure did a number on him.
Brandon, flip the panic switch on the suit. I don't want to burn through the oxygen.
You're kidding, right? He's fucking hanging on by a thread. We need to move him.
Strasky, get the infirmary ready. We need to move fast.
Wait, where are Komorabi and the others?
This is all we got. I guess it's still at Delta.
I can't do this on my own. Grab the other side.
Strask, ready or not, we're coming in.
All right, see you soon.
Yeah, can you imagine picking him up at the Zeppelin and finding him without eyeballs and probably on the brink of insanity? I guess they tried to save him, which is probably his ruse to kind of get inside of Theta. There's another one here.
This thing on? Can everyone hear me?
Go ahead, Strom.
Listen up, all members of staff. The ARC project has caused a lot of arguments the last few months. I'm not going to pretend I understand what the hell Sarang talked about and how his continuity suddenly made sense to kill yourself. For the fucking love of God, or whatever you think is important, don't kill yourself. This place is miserable enough. Don't force your friends to clean up your blood. Rest in peace, all of you. Good?
Beautiful, sir. All right, everyone. Show's over. Get back to work.
Oh, so Catherine never mentioned that the Ark was causing people to kill themselves, or that is kind of what it sounded like, or the Ark scanning people resulted in people taking their own lives. So that's definitely something we're going to have to ask her about, because from what we've heard from her, the Ark seems like this great, amazing, sort of magical thing, but maybe it isn't. And I completely missed this my first time through, by the way, because there's really no point in going over to this area, but there's actually a really cool audio log that we can look at if we just kind of venture over to this area onto this little wing looking thing. Yeah, right on the top of this piece of metal is a blinking audio log thing here.
Sarah, are you there? Who is this? Catherine? I'm busy working. Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for what you did. Don't worry about it, but you should stand up for yourself. I mean, Strohmeyer doesn't have that kind of authority. You can just tell him to go fuck himself. Oh, I just don't. I'm not that kind of a person. You can't expect people to fight for you all the time. You're a brilliant person, Kath. You're so smart it makes my head spin, but sometimes you just disappear into yourself. Suddenly it's like talking to a fucking 5-year-old. It's just hard. I can't just be more like that. Everyone would know I'm pretending. It's not too late to win people over. Strasky likes you. I like you. Reed likes you. Strasky likes everybody. Yeah, that's true. Wait, you think Reed likes me? Catherine, a lot of people like you. You just need to open up a little. Be more approachable. Can I get back to work now? I'd rather not be reprimanded twice in one day. Okay, see you back inside. Over and out.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. I think that's the first time we've ever heard human Catherine talk you know, way back when the whole station was up and running, you know, so that's kind of cool. But you can tell just from listening to the log there that Catherine doesn't seem to have the best luck with people. I think she's a bit paranoid that people don't like her. It sounds like she's maybe a little bit hard to approach. I think she means well, though. But I think she's more like the brainy type, you know. She's so caught up in the arc. And she's so worried about it that I think her people skills kind of suffer because of it. So to open up the big door, go ahead and take that piece out, turn it, stick it back in, and then pull the lever. Excuse me. Pull the lever, and you'll be able to open up the door, and this goes into Theta. Wow, look at this place. It is huge. Before we do that, though, there is another robot hanging out here, outside.
Wait. Am I already here?
Hello?
Who is that? Mark?
No, we haven't met before.
Is this Mark?
I think we're safe.
Oh, I was so worried something had gone wrong.
What's your name?
Robin Bass. Theta Field Service Technician.
Nice to meet you, Robin.
Alright, so obviously this is probably the brain scan of Robin. So she worked at Theta, so I wonder if she knows what's going on. We should talk to her more.
How did you get here?
I got scanned, like the others. And then I killed myself. At least I think so. I can't remember that part.
How does that work? Did dying get you into the Ark?
Wow, you're definitely not from Theta. Let me guess, Omicron? Wasn't sure Catherine would be able to scan you guys. You're lucky. There was a lot of talk about this at Theta. The idea is, when you're activated in the Ark, there's basically two of you, right? One human, one living scan in the Ark. You don't want your copy to survive you. You yourself want to survive on the Ark. If the human you dies before the scan is initiated, or closely after, you yourself would live on in the Ark. Amazing, right? Is this what it's supposed to look like?
Did Catherine put you up to this? Killing yourself?
Catherine Chun? No. I don't think you understand. She just did scans and put them into the Ark. I hope I get to meet her soon so I can apologize. She always got into trouble with Strohmeyer when someone killed themselves.
I think she's okay with it.
Where is everyone? I thought there would be like 40 or 50 people here.
I don't know. I'll let you know if I see anyone. Robin, I'm not sure how to say this.
What?
This is
Yeah?
pretty amazing, right? I mean, the Ark.
Yeah, it's great. Catherine and the guys have really pulled through. They saved us all.
See you later.
Will do.
I'll be going now.
Let me know if you find anyone else.
You good?
I think so. I feel fine.
So there we go. We can exhaust all of Robin's dialogue. And what a time for Catherine not to be here, right? I mean, she could have apologized to Catherine right here if we were able to actually upload Catherine into something. But as it stands, Robin is just hanging out, and she believes that she's in the Ark.
Where is everyone?
But that's gotta feel awful. All your coworkers were scanned. You know that they've been scanned. You killed yourself thinking you'd get into the Ark, and your consciousness ends up stuck inside of a robot. But the interesting thing is that in this case, we actually have the option about whether or not we want to disconnect Robin or not. I think she's the only robot in the entire game that you have the choice to disconnect or not, because we've already opened the door to Theta. We can just go in and leave her out here if we want to, or we can disconnect her. And it's a really, really, really hard choice to make, because she seems fine. She seems a bit confused that there's no one around, but she doesn't seem to be in any kind of distress. She seems to be quite happy that her consciousness was scanned. But at the same time, if her consciousness was scanned and she can truly be on the Ark like she desires, if we can get the Ark up and running, then she would only want one copy of herself to exist, which is the whole reason for her killing herself in the first place.
I can't tell if this is it.
So it's hard to say. I think the first time I played, I left her on. I don't think I've ever actually unplugged her. I'm gonna unplug her. If you just walk away and you leave her plugged in, she'll just stay like this. Nothing happens in the game. So it's not a big decision. It's up to you. Plug her in or keep her plugged in, disconnect her, it's up to you. But I think Robin, in human form, Robin would only want there to be one Robin, and I'm really hoping that the one Robin is going to be on the Ark, so...
Let me go!
Trust me when I say, Robin, you will thank me later. Doesn't feel nice. It's a hard decision to make, but I think unplugging her is the right thing to do. So let's go ahead and swipe the Omni tool and get inside Theta, shall we? And I quite like Theta. I think it's probably my favorite site in the game. This is probably my favorite chunk of area we're going to be going through. I just realized how dark it was. Sorry guys, I should have had my flashlight on. Alright, wow, the lights are still on. Everything is still functioning. This place almost looks like new.
Hello? Anyone there?
I mean, when you look at everything else comparatively we've been so far, this place actually doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. Obviously, it has had some damage and it's not probably running the way that it was meant to run, but it actually looks pretty good in here, so I'm excited to have a look around and explore, and hopefully we can find the Dunbad that we came here to find. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time.